Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we're going to try something new. So I came up with a new currency making strategy. I do this fairly often, and I thought I'd show it to you guys right as I was testing it to see what the process is going to be. So I had an idea, I've then gone ahead and executed and got it set up, and now we're going to find out how good it is together. And I think it's going to be a pretty interesting experience to kind of film this live, and I'm going to go over all the things I was kind of thinking about when I was coming up with the strategy, all the things I was considering, and the maths behind it, and then we're going to go ahead and put the map in and see if it's actually going to work out. Alright, so here is the premise for this strategy. So if you guys didn't know, the Eldo's Rest is actually still incredibly powerful due to the fact that it has Harbinger nodes, which still have a very potent effect. So you still get the traditional one Harbinger in your map, but now instead of giving you that Harbinger have a chance to be anywhere between, like 4 to 10 Harbingers because of the diplomatic escort node, now it has a 30% chance to be replaced with a powerful Harbinger boss. So this powerful Harbinger boss is like a absolutely mega Harbinger. He has a very high chance to drop stuff like Exalted Shards, but he spawns about, anywhere between 20 to 40 rare monsters per King Harbinger. Coupled with the Harbinger thing on the map device here, you can guarantee one of these per map, and it's pretty damn good. You end up with 3 Harbingers per map, and it does work out pretty well. You generally get 1 to 2 Kings per map. Obviously there's ones where you don't get any, and there's ones where you get heaps, but it's pretty nice. And you can also take it a step further by using Harbinger Scarabs if you want. But due to the fact that this strategy is incredibly powerful, Harbinger Scarabs are very, very expensive right now, and often not worth it unless you're heavily juicing your maps. I think that the gilded ones are something like 34 chaos each right now, which is incredibly expensive. So that's pretty interesting. Harbingers are very, very potent, and I would argue that it is one of the most powerful Atlas strategies on the Atlas right now, due to the fact it spawns all these rare monsters. Now, the thing that really takes this over the edge is coupling the Harbingers with Harbinger, Scarabs, and then also using the Nemesis monsters drop 3 additional basic currency items. There's been plenty of posts on Reddit, there's been plenty of YouTube videos showing how potent and powerful this is. It drops anywhere between, like 1 to 2 exalts worth of currency, per map. It's ridiculous. People are investing, 5 exalts worth of sextants into, rolling this 1 sextant modifier, and it's actually completely crazy. People are popping off with it, and it's big, big money. Now, if you kind of picture, the old Delirium maps of the traditional times, where, you had basically currency everywhere, there was 1 or 2 Exalted Orbs per map, that's the kind of stuff that they're getting in terms of results, and it is very, very lucrative indeed, and it is probably one of the most competitive currency strategies, as I mentioned, on the Atlas. Now, the thing with this strategy, which I didn't like, is, first of all, you have to roll all of your maps to have Nemesis when you're pursuing this strategy. Second of all, you need to buy an absolute metric ton of mapping resources, such as Scarabs, Sextants, hundreds of Sextants to be able to roll the modifier by every time. You need to make sure that the maps are each set up perfectly, and a lot of the time you need to run Delirium to really capitalize on the actual Sextant modifier, because you're investing so much, you have to basically throw the whole sink at it, otherwise it's not going to be even worth it to run the Sextant anymore. But so once you stack everything on there, it's obviously crazy, but I don't like that kind of playstyle personally. I've had a lot of that in my time in PoE, doing 100% daily and stuff like that, and I don't really find it very much fun. So I was wondering if there was some other way that I could get similar results, maybe a little bit less, but on a much lower kind of investment and time. An additional thing I don't like about Nem 3 is that you have to click on all of the loot. It's like very overbearing, the amount of loot in one map. And often when you run like these maps, you just kill everything, then you go back and loot for 5 or 6 minutes, and it's an awful experience, to be honest with you, even though it's one of the most competitive strategies in the game. All right, all this stuff got me thinking, and I was wondering, how could I give myself a pretty good chance of having a similar effect of this, but also not have any of the downsides of it. So I started investigating crafted watchstone modifiers. And I found that there was a modifier which goes up to 10% chance to drop an additional basic currency item for rare monsters, which is very, very similar to the Nemesis 3. Essentially, it's 1/6 as good with 4 watchstones in and the 25% in the center of the tree as Nemesis 3. So once you have 4 watchstones with the 10% on it, and then that'll get bumped up to 50% in theory with Secrets of the Stones, you'll have 50% chance for rare monsters to drop a basic currency item, which again is about a 1/6 of as good as the Nem 3 Sextant. Now, why this is impactful is that you can have this on all of your maps. You don't have to roll Nemesis on any of your maps. You don't have to heavily invest in them because you have this modifier permanently. And you reap all of the rewards at 1/6 of the value without having to invest and buy scarabs and all sorts of stuff like that. Obviously, by not stacking everything on there, throwing the sync at it, as I mentioned, you're not going to get anywhere near the same results, but you will still get a modest amount of currency from your Harbingers, from your ultimatums, and all sorts of stuff like that. Now, I haven't tested it, so I'm not sure if it's going to be that potent, but the math should be there. People are, as I mentioned, are investing, 5 exalts, 5 times 150 for 4 maps worth of Nemesis. So you divide by 4. That's 187 C per map just from that. Now, if I'm getting 1/6 of that value, I'm in theory getting 31 C worth of Nemesis value per map for free. That's pretty appealing. Obviously, you sacrifice the ability to go for the Harbinger craftable watchstones, but I think that that's a fairly reasonable sacrifice to get, in theory, 31 C worth of value. Now, the cool thing about this modifier is that it's actually it's not exclusive to Nemesis monsters. So you can roll, for example, a Beyond map, and all of the Beyond monsters, without having to get Nemesis on there as well, will drop currency items. So if you're really into Beyond, for example, you could, in theory, roll all of your maps for Beyond, and probably it would be worth it because those additional rare monsters would yield a ton of additional currency throughout your mapping experience, which should be pretty good. So it does open up a large array of different options, but because it's 1/6 as potent as the Nemesis 3, you also don't have the impact on your playstyle of like all this currency that's dropped everywhere and picking it up and having that stress and multiple inventories and stuff like that. So without further ado, I figure let's go ahead and head in, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it and kind of see where we went. So I've got a city square map here. I've just used some chisels and an alk on it. I did actually manage to get Beyond on it. That was just purely by chance. I'm going to throw Harbinger on there. And I'm just going to throw Harbinger on there, actually. I think we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty interested, actually, to see how this goes. This is my first chance at it. So obviously, my watchstones are not perfect here. I just rolled T2 ones because, I'm just testing the idea out. I don't want to invest too much in rolling T1 ones. But we'll see how this feels and kind of how much currency we can expect from a strategy like this. So of course the King Harbingers are RNG. We don't know whether we're going to get a King Harbinger or not, but we'll take a look here. So far we've gotten no King Harbingers, we just got a normal Harbinger, so we got 2 more chances at him. Looks like it could be a bit of a flop here. We haven't got a currency at him yet, which is pretty interesting. Chaos Orb, doesn't look anything too out of the normal here. Let's go for the Ruin. And we'll see what we kind of get from this ultimatum because it is got a lot of rare monsters in it. Maybe that will show us some results here. Generally, I think survival is probably the best for this, or stone circles. Maybe that actually does entice you to go for those less desirable ultimatums now, if this does turn out to be a pretty big currency loot explosion. But we'll have to see. Because the currency explosion, oh, I just took the wrong mod there, is fairly impressive from the Nemesis 3. When you're doing those, so I wonder if it's going to be impressive here. It should be 1/6 as impressive, which should still be pretty good, right? It should still be pretty damn good. So we'll have to see. So far I've got 28 head-on buffs. That means I've slain 28 rare monsters. So if you divide that by 6, that should be 5 additional currency items, which could hopefully be something good. Of course, I don't have everything shown on my filter, so a currency item could be a scroll of wisdom, it could be a transmutation orb, it could be anything like that. Which definitely does reduce the overall potency of the mod, but it could also be, a Chaos Orb, an Alteration, and all sorts of those other good rewards. Hopefully I don't get the Trial Master here, that would be kind of hilarious, but I don't really want to do him right now. This potency one that I took is no good, it's bad news. Looks like we're getting 10 GCPs here. I really hope I don't get the Trial Master. Here we go. Gonna pop off on this wave, and then we'll see our results, hopefully without the Trial Master interfering. Or we may just get slain here as well, because I took that nasty mod. Alright, 9 waves. So let's take a look at this loot explosion. So, a fairly modest loot explosion. I think this is definitely more than you normally get, but it's not overwhelmingly more than you get. So we'll continue to try it out. Obviously we're not at full maximum power here, just on T2 stones, but we will continue to take a look at the kind of results here. So is this a King Harby? Is it? It's not a King Harby, okay. So we'll continue here, continue along. Maybe we'll get a King Harby coming up here. We got actually a Ritual here. I think they have some rare monsters in them as well, but I'm not entirely sure if the rare monsters here count towards the actual credit of the watchstones. We'll have to see. Take that out there. We've got a lot of head on buffs though, so we've had a lot of rares, but we're not seeing a whole lot of results. I wonder if that's just because all of the items are hidden because they're not that valuable. We are seeing a few more currency items. I don't know if this is any more than I normally would expect though, which is, definitely thinking, I don't know, you'd have to kind of run 100 maps, I'd say, or 50 maps of each to really tell, I guess, wouldn't you, to see the results of it, because I guess even if it's just a few items here and there, that does add up, especially if you get like an Awakened Sextant and stuff like that, which absolutely do drop. If you've done Nemesis Currency 3, you'll know that they do drop fairly often. I wonder if anyone doing watching can like kind of comment on whether they think this is more or less loot than you would expect to get normally from a map. I think on average it probably is more loot than you'd expect to get from a normal map, I would have to say, but I can't tell how much more loot. I guess, yeah, it's definitely a difficult one. We didn't get any King Harvey, so that definitely does impact it, but we did do that ultimatum. I guess I did get a pretty good amount of currency from that. So we will do a bit of a recap here coming up, and we'll take a look after we do this Metamorph. Metamorph does also yield a few rare monsters as well, and we get 2 of them here. I try and leave one of the unique monsters behind so that I can get an extra organ. I think that's a pretty good choice. Take him out there. Take this guy out here. Okay, so we didn't get any extra currency from doing that Metamorph there. Blow through this one as well. Silver coins, okay. Okay, we did actually get quite a lot of extra currency from these guys though. So we got an extra Chaos Orb. But it's hard to tell whether that was from the actual stuff itself. So, you know, we got an extra, I actually don't remember how many Chaos Orbs we got from the Taskmaster. But, you know, there is definitely, I think, a reasonable amount more of currency, but I really cannot tell. It's difficult to actually make an assumption whether it is worth it or not, actually. So I'm going to have to figure out some sort of an objective test that I can perform, which will be able to tell me. I think 7 alterations, though, 7 alterations for a map is significantly higher than what you would be used to, in my opinion. So I think that definitely could be something to look at there. There's definitely a lot of things to consider. We'll just open up this bad boy here and take some, I guess, some of these ritual splinters here. We defer some more ritual splinters, take some Chayulas. But your watchstones are an incredibly valuable resource. So the question is that worth it? I think you'd have to do a large sample size of maps. So if you guys are interested, generally on average, you make about 1 or 2. It's anywhere between 0 to 2 of each T1 currency per 100 maps. And that's my kind of experience with Sextants on. So I wonder if you would be able to get a significantly larger amount of Exalted Orbs over the 100 test. So anyway, if you guys are interested, currently I still haven't decided whether this actually is good or not. Comparing it to Nemesis 3, obviously it's not even close. Nemesis 3 is very noticeable when you put it on. Obviously I'm not using T1 Watchstones, so I'm missing, you know, 4 here, 4% there, you know, another 3% there, that's 7, 10, and 13, and then also multiplied by 25. So I'm missing a ton of the effect here. So I wonder if I push it even further to T1, if that would be the difference. I think I'm going to have to give it a go and buy all T1 ones. I'm fairly convinced that this is a reasonable direction to go down. Just theoretically, 50% of a currency item, so it's 1/6 of Nemesis. It probably is very good, but it's very difficult to tell without doing a large sample size, and of course I didn't get any King Harbingers. So I think I'm going to continue with this test. If you guys are interested, I just rolled, you know, normal chromium watchstones myself. If you like this kind of video, this kind of very hypothetical, like kind of almost you know, science-based video where we test it together in the minutes of it and then kind of make a conclusion, let me know. It's just a bit of a new style of video. Is it worth it? I'm not sure yet. Gonna have to do some more tests. It wasn't immediately apparent. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This little bit of an interesting trial on a different take, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.